5 signs that God speaks to you. Today, I bring you a very, very special video. I'm going to talk about 5 signs that indicate that God, the universe, or whatever you choose to call it, is with you, speaks to you, and communicates with you all the time. So, I kindly ask you to grab a pen and paper and take note of these 5 signs to try to identify them in your daily life. Sometimes they are very subtle, but they always, always, always work. Before we dive into today's video, make sure to subscribe, activate notifications, and hit the bell icon because I'm sharing powerful information every day to help you in your personal and spiritual development and take your life to the next level. Don't miss out. Subscribing will keep you informed whenever I post a new video. Now, let's get to today's instruction. Pay close attention because it's incredibly powerful. By the way, of the 5 signs, my favorite is the 5th, but I want to know which one resonates most with you. So, as I mentioned, take notes. Let's get started. Today we'll discuss an incredibly important topic. Did you know that God, the universe, or whatever you want to call it, is with you? But you must learn to identify the signs that indicate it's with you and communicates with you. This is an extremely powerful subject because if you knew who accompanies you at all times, you'd never have fear or uncertainty again. So, as I said, take note of the 5 signs. At the end of the video, I'll ask you which ones you've been experiencing every day. I recommend watching this video several times because you'll pick up more on subsequent viewings. The first time you watch, you might not grasp everything, but it's an essential and comforting topic. The first time I discovered these signs, I felt peace and liberation. Sometimes, life puts pressure on us. But when we know that the universe conspires in our favor, that God is with us, as Jesus of Nazareth said in the Bible, "It is my Father's pleasure to give you the kingdom." When you discover this and learn to identify the signs, you undergo a transformation and inner renewal. It's incredibly powerful. So call it God, call it the universe, call it energy, call it your soul's voice, call it your guardian angel, call it your intuition. Name it as you wish. I prefer to call it God, but my concept of God is separate from any religion. It's a broader concept that includes everyone, leaving the doors open to all. I'm not religious, but I am spiritual. What I can tell you is that having this connection and learning to connect with it, often you're actually talking to yourself, is essential. It's important to identify these signs to support my teaching. I've drawn upon the figure of Jesus of Nazareth, the great metaphysical teacher, to explain these 5 signs. Jesus of Nazareth was the most significant person in history because the entire timeline is divided into years before and after Christ. The history of the world is divided this way because of him. There's no before and after Steve Jobs, before and after Oprah Winfrey, before and after Albert Einstein, before and after Galileo Galilei, or before and after Nicolaus Copernicus. There's only before and after Jesus of Nazareth. That's why we must pay close attention to his teachings. In the Bible, it's written, "No one can come to the Father except through the Son." Through the teachings of Jesus, it allows me, at least, to know if I'm on the path of God, the universe, my purpose, and what God, the universe, energy, your guardian angel, the voice of your soul, or your intuition wants for you in this life and this moment. It's important to understand that to grasp this teaching fully, you must remove it from the religious context and simply know whether what Jesus taught aligns with your path. Jesus of Nazareth, the most important man in history, the great spiritual and metaphysical master, and the one who wanted to bring us a message. If you can understand that through what he taught his disciples, you can learn signs that indicate you're on the right path. You will have a spectacular revelation. Let's start with the first sign. This is a phrase that Jesus said in the Bible in the New Testament, just before he began his parables. You know that Jesus spoke in parables, a kind of encrypted language not very complicated but only accessible to a few. He said, "I praise you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because you have hidden these things from the wise and learned and revealed them to little children." He added, "For to you it has been given to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it has not been given. This is one of the most important signs because if you can grasp things that others cannot, if you have a more developed intuition, as Jesus mentioned many times, academic knowledge and excessive information can distance you from the truth of God, the truth of the universe, and the truth of these spiritual principles I'm teaching you in the Voice of Your Soul saga. In fact, scientists who are probably the most rational, erudite, and knowledgeable people are also subject to this. They are among the wise and learned from whom these things are hidden. In essence, it saddens me a bit because they miss out on this other part. I can't imagine living as an atheist, not believing in God, not believing in anything, not even believing in life after death. What a sad life that would be. In reality, believing is a sign of intelligence because it makes life much easier. If you have to go through life thinking that you only have this life, and when it ends, everything ends, you'll live in fear. Fear of making mistakes, fear of missing opportunities, because you only have this one chance. When you look at it with eternity in mind, which is the message that Jesus brings, there is no death. Be at peace. Moreover, he said something else that the church has done the opposite of. He said, "You are all forgiven, and no one has to forgive you." He told us not to worry, but the church has instilled fear, 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 because the best way to control the population is through fear. We've seen that in the past few years, haven't we? So it's crucial to understand that if you've been given the knowledge of the mysteries of the kingdom, others have not. If you're more open to all this teaching, even when it comes to scientists, quantum physicists had to separate from mainstream science, which is the majority of scientists, to investigate the mysteries of the universe. When you see great scientists like Nikola Tesla or even Albert Einstein, who were among the first with a generation of scientists to delve into the mysteries of quantum physics, the mysteries of energy, the mysteries of the universe, the mysteries of the unseen, the metaphysical mysteries they call quantum, they began to discover a lot of things they can never fully uncover. It's an ever-unfolding painting. However, they did start to gather a lot of evidence. In fact, Nikola Tesla said, "If you want to understand the universe, think in terms of energy." This new understanding opened up new dimensions and new realms of knowledge, taking us closer to the understanding of the universe's intricate workings. This is just the first sign, and we have more to explore. So, stay tuned and keep seeking the mysteries of the universe, for they are all around us, waiting to be discovered. Understanding the universe, think in terms of energy and frequencies. Then, you will not understand everything. They realized that this is the origin of the formation of matter, its frequency and vibration. The origin of disease or health is vibration. Many scientists have also noticed that when a person is going to develop cancer, it can be detected months or even years in advance by observing the energy frequency changes in the body. There's a different energy frequency in the area where the disease will manifest, which later materializes into that illness. When you grasp this, you'll see that scientists, for example, by analyzing a salamander egg, found different energy frequencies inside the egg. These energies activate the entire cellular development process. They also discovered that the frequency vibration where the salamander's tail would develop was much lower than the frequency where the brain would develop. When I discovered this, I thought, science is starting to realize what Jesus of Nazareth and the great spiritual masters of the past have been telling us for thousands of years. It's just remarkable that it took thousands of years to grasp this, that energy creates matter, and it's the vibrational frequency that brings matter into existence, not the other way around. The great Hermes Trismegistus, who is also attributed to the name Enoch in the Bible, the biblical father of Methuselah. You might know Methuselah as the oldest person in the Bible, living for 900 and some years, said 5,000 years ago, "As above, so below, as below, so above." It's the principle of correspondence, which means that what is in the mental realm corresponds to the physical realm. What's in the energetic plane corresponds to the material plane, and what's in the material plane corresponds to the energetic plane. It means there is no separation. And the mental part corresponds because, with the mind, we move energies and change vibrations. That's our free will. Plato, 500 years before Christ, said, "You are gods, but you have forgotten." This is why the Bible tells us that we are made in the image and likeness of the Creator, meaning that you modify energy with your thoughts, and energy creates matter, as I explained in these two examples. The principles never fail, they always work. Everything is energetic, and energy becomes matter. If you're open to this ancient knowledge, if hearing about this doesn't make you uncomfortable, but rather piques your curiosity, if you want to learn more about all this, if it fascinates you when I talk about the voice of your soul saga and these principles, then you're not just an erudite or a scholar, even if you have many academic degrees. I know many scientists, doctors, engineers, and scientifically minded people who are open to all of this. They are the ones who revolutionize the scientific fields. But initially, they face suppression, ridicule, and being dismissed. Then, they transform the reality for millions of people. Throughout history, we've seen this happen. I can't think of a specific example right now, but consider Galileo Galilei or Nicholas Copernicus. Nicholas Copernicus was more intelligent. He stated the heliocentric model on his deathbed. Galileo Galilei, on the other hand, was put under house arrest and forced to recant his statements. He had to say he was wrong and that all he had said was a lie, against his will. If he didn't, they would have killed him. That's how science has always been, and we've seen this in recent years too. When someone goes against the prevailing beliefs, they get attacked, ridiculed, or simply silenced, and their voices are not heard. That's how it has always been in the scientific world. The person who discovered the electrocardiogram, for example, was ridiculed by all his fellow scientists. They made fun of him. However, later on, he was awarded the Nobel Prize. After the electroencephalogram was discovered, the electrocardiogram followed, and then all the implications that it has had. He knew that until then, scientists only measured the physical part of the brain. They could see that there was a brain, but they didn't realize that the brain emitted waves and vibrations. They also didn't know that the heart, as I've explained in the Voice of Your Soul saga, emits electrical and magnetic waves. Electrical waves define the charge or the type of wave, while magnetic waves attract waves of a similar kind. When you emit an electromagnetic charge, you're emitting and attracting similar energies. This is the foundation of the law of attraction that so many people talk about. It's the principle of vibration. A person can measure these brain waves with an electroencephalogram. Now we know them as delta waves, theta waves, alpha waves, beta waves, and gamma waves. This is where science has reached, and I'm sure there are many more types of waves. Just like how a dog, for example, has a hearing capacity that allows them to hear sounds we can't. Many animals have better vision than we do. Eagles, for instance, can see things miles away that we can't perceive. When we can't see or perceive something through our senses, our rational and scientific ego automatically says it doesn't exist. Not only do we say it doesn't exist, but we also ridicule it. As Schopenhauer said, every truth goes through 3 stages. First, it's ridiculed. Second, it's attacked. And third, it's recognized as a truth that has always existed and that you already knew. This is how it works with everything. So, coming back to this first sign, you are a person who is open to all of this. You are someone interested in these topics, and deep down in your heart, you've always known it to be true. Now, you have a strong curiosity to keep learning. This is the first sign that God, the universe, and energy are communicating with you because, as Jesus said, "I praise you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because you have hidden these things from the wise and learned and revealed them to little children." This is why Jesus of Nazareth said, "You must become like little children to enter the kingdom, because children have an open mentality." In fact, if you have the opportunity to talk to children, not all of them, but many of them remember past lives, know where they come from, can see deceased people, and have significant and special knowledge. In contrast, we've forgotten this, as Plato said, "You are gods, but you have forgotten." That kind of vision is revealed only to children because scholars and the learned ones are left out of the equation. For example, you all know the story of Moses. When he liberated the slaves from Egypt, he confronted the Pharaoh and asked, "Who should I say sent me?" God replied, "I am who I am," and from there he revealed his name, I am. Yet when they liberated the slaves from Egypt, the Bible tells us that not everyone entered the promised land. Only the youth entered the promised land. The old ones stayed outside. It's not about age. God didn't distinguish between young and old. The elderly stayed outside. Why? Because a person, and it's not due to age, isn't himself or herself anymore. They are the ones who distance themselves from their promised land in life. Those who want to prosper economically, for example, are the ones who block their own path with their belief systems. You close yourself off from learning all these things. The same with diseases or health, and it's the same with relationships. You're excluding yourself from the promised land because the elderly didn't enter, because as a person travels through the journey of life, they accumulate negative beliefs, limiting beliefs, erroneous ideas, misconceptions, and fears that lead to certain types of thoughts. They become fearful, insecure, and become resentful due to all the traumas they've experienced throughout their lives. So they don't enter the promised land because if you're a person who is open to all this knowledge, if you don't react negatively to this but instead feel curiosity and want to learn more, then you're not just an erudite or an intellectual. So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep growing in your understanding of the universe and its mysteries. All your life, being a slave in Egypt, to enter a new level of life, you must get rid of the slave mentality. You can't enter the promised land with a slave mentality because by vibration, as I was explaining earlier, it's incompatible. So what happened to them was that children and young people who had less life experience and thus their beliefs weren't so deeply rooted could easily connect with the frequency that led them to the promised land. The older ones couldn't get rid of their old ways of thinking. That's why, if you have many years on this earth, it's essential to work harder on yourself than anything else because your life will change when you change. This is the first thing you learn in spirituality. When you change, everything changes. Most people are in the victim role, always blaming others for their circumstances or constantly justifying themselves. However, a person who has understood this first sign of being open to all of this and realizes that when they change, everything else will change, they start working harder on themselves than anything else. When that person changes, everything around them changes. I mean, when I say everything, I mean everything. The Bible teaches this too. We are transformed by the renewal of our minds. Renewal means to remove the old and replace it with the new. Those who could get rid of the slave mentality to embrace the mentality of a free person entering the promised land. However, the old ones couldn't do that. So your financial problems will be solved when you abandon the poverty mentality and embrace the millionaire mentality. Your health issues will be solved when you leave behind the sick mentality you've been told and carried with you all your life and start to believe that you are a healthy person. As Jesus of Nazareth said, according to your faith, it is given to you. Faith is written as certainty and conviction of what is not seen and what is expected. The same applies to your relationships. If you enter your promised land with the same mentality as in the past, you'll attract the same type of people. That's why people have 2, 3, 5 separations, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 divorces, and it's always the same. You can't enter a new relationship with the same mentality that led you to leave the previous one. It's as simple as that. If you're open to this, then you've got the first sign. Let me know if you've liked this first sign, and let's move on to the next one. You can continue listening to more of what this speaker is saying, but the core message is that to align with the universe and receive the guidance and blessings it offers, you must be open to new beliefs, be willing to change, and let go of limiting thoughts, even if it means separating from certain people who no longer serve your growth. This family member, the one you often don't get along with, who is often your father or mother, has come here in this incarnation, and you chose them to come here precisely to heal that karma. You have to see things from soul to soul, not from skin to skin, not from the outer shell, not from person to person. You have to see people as souls in transition, as souls on a journey in this thing called life. Maybe in this lifetime, you're connected, but we don't know what you were in previous lives. And if the two of you are here, it's to heal that karma. That's your blood family. Then you need to connect with your soul family, the people who support your mission, your purpose, your life vision. They are the ones who will help you succeed in your career, in your marriage, and who will support the partner you've chosen, regardless of who they are, their gender, or where they come from. It doesn't matter. It's the person who will support you with good dietary and health habits, so you can have a long, energetic, and vital life to fulfill your other purposes. That's your soul family. This is what Jesus meant when he said that his family are those who follow the teachings of his Father. In the same way, your family are those who support your purpose, vision, and mission in life. Your soul mission is your true family. You shouldn't feel guilty if you don't connect with your brother, father, mother, or childhood friend anymore. They were friends in childhood because that's the stage you were in at school. Now, they're adults, and if your childhood friend is toxic or a bad influence, it's time to let go because they don't support your vision. If you want to prosper in life and you're starting a business or an entrepreneurial venture, and your childhood friends or family have a worker mentality, they might discourage you because they have their own fears about entrepreneurship. They might persuade you to seek stability. If you have someone constantly telling you to abandon your dreams and follow their way of thinking, they are not following your Father's vision. They're not supporting the teachings that guide your life's mission. It's a struggle within and with your surroundings. Your surroundings may support a slave mentality, not the mentality of entering the promised land. This is exactly what Jesus was talking about. Gather not by blood relations or lifelong friendships, but with those who truly resonate with you. That's why I always say to join groups of unstoppable souls and study the principles of the sacred open soul. Have meetings every day at 6 in the morning, read parts of the books, and apply the teachings. They do this in person all over the world. There is a community of unstoppable souls worldwide who have grasped this principle. My family are the ones who follow my principles, my vision, and my mission. Together, we will transform our lives, renew our minds, and change our faith. When the magic happens in your life, write it down. If you see these signs and are following your soul family, not the convenience family, and you are gathering with unstoppable souls, you are on the right path. If you have this feeling and have stopped feeling guilty for not following certain people because you're supposed to be with them, you are a much more spiritually evolved person. You've let go of the attachment to your family. It doesn't mean you're giving up on them. It means you've understood this principle. If you like this principle, leave it in the comments and let's move on to the next one. By the way, concerning the previous topic, I always say in the Sacred Open Soul that we've come to break the past curses in our families. In every family there are cases of illnesses, divorces, poverty, and so on. You've come here with the mission to surpass that generation, to break the past curse. In the Bible, the story of Goliath and David is explained. Initially, David, who later became the king of Israel, was a shepherd who killed the Philistine giant Goliath. Goliath threatened the people of Israel every day, but the Bible tells us that the fathers of Goliath threatened the fathers of David, and the grandparents of Goliath threatened the grandparents of David, and so on. The curse passed from generation to generation until David took it as a personal mission to end this curse and killed the giant Goliath. He later became the king of Israel, one of the richest and wisest men in biblical history. We've all come here to break that past curse, but you can't do it if you stay in the same vibration. Many times, when you want to break away from your family's way of thinking, it will seem crazy to them. This is where you need faith. You must be strong. Listen to the voice of your soul and have faith, knowing that when you succeed, it will not only benefit you, but also break the past curse of your family, benefiting them as well. Have faith, trust me, I've lived it and you will too. In fact, we recently had the Unstoppable Intensive event, and my parents spoke at the event. I'll see if I can include that clip here to show you exactly what I mean. Now let's move on to the third sign. This one is very powerful for me and has been very revealing in fulfilling my purpose. Jesus said, "I was not appointed by any group of people or by any human authority, but by the God who raised Jesus Christ from the dead." What does this mean? We live in a society where we always need someone to validate us. We need someone to tell us we are valid, to give us permission. You don't need anyone to give you permission to shine. No one has to tell you whether you're worth something or not. You have to tell yourself, and you have to believe that you're worth it. You have to believe that what God or the voice of your soul said about what you can achieve, that dream and desire inside you, is something you can make happen, and it depends on you alone, not anyone else. But this has more applications. We live in a world where we've been sold the idea that to be valid in society, you need an academic degree. If you haven't gone to college or any school, if you don't have a particular title, then you're worthless. Let me tell you something very important. The great geniuses I've met in my life didn't have academic titles. Moreover, I was an elite athlete for 22 years, and the best coaches I had didn't have university degrees to be coaches, and they produced more Olympic swimmers than anyone else, despite all the degrees and academic qualifications. That doesn't mean those degrees are worthless. It means they don't validate you. I'll take it a step further in the world of business and entrepreneurship. Hardly anyone with a university degree becomes a millionaire. All my millionaire mentors didn't have university degrees in business or related fields. This doesn't mean they didn't study. They learned directly from mentors and maybe read 10 books a week, but they didn't study from the academic world because they weren't pursuing a degree. In contrast, society has misled normal people, telling them that the important thing is the title. Then they think they need a title to be valuable. This is a lie. Your value is not determined by a title or a piece of paper. Your value is determined by your beliefs, your actions, and your determination to achieve your dreams. No one needs to validate you. You have the power within you to achieve what you desire, regardless of titles or formal education. So, don't let society's expectations or the need for validation hold you back. Embrace your worth and believe in yourself. They spend 5 years or 6 years or however many in a university program studying to emerge with a degree that's supposed to validate them. Then if they're lucky, they enter the job market and seek employment. But those who truly understand these principles and follow this sign have realized that they don't need validation from anyone. In fact, in my industry of personal development, perhaps the most influential figure in the Anglo-Saxon world is Tony Robbins. He doesn't have a coaching degree or any formal title from a university. Yet, he has had the most impact, influencing politicians, entrepreneurs, athletes, singers, actors, and the most prominent people on the planet. They followed his teachings not because of a formal validation, but because of the wisdom and value they found. I don't have any formal titles either. My title is in results. I help people achieve results. I don't need a university or academy to validate me. I have validated myself with my knowledge and the results I've produced. You can do the same. This is crucial. In fact, I was in university and I had 5 subjects left to finish my degree in sports science. Depending on the faculty you studied in or the country you're in, it might be called something else. I had 1 year left and 7 subjects to complete, including the final project. I asked myself, what am I doing with my life? I don't want to be a coach. I don't need this degree because I don't need someone to validate me. I'll graduate, get another piece of paper, and everyone has papers. I'd rather leave as soon as possible, take my final year, and put it into studying and pursuing my true passion and purpose. Thanks to that decision, after leaving the university, I wrote the first volume of the Sacred Open Soul series, The Voice of Your Soul, and later the entire 12-volume saga. It's the most significant work in the world on universal principles, spirituality, and personal development. I'm sharing all this to emphasize the teaching that you don't need validation more than what God or the voice of your soul is telling you to do with your life. All of us have a vision and a purpose, something inside us telling us we need to do something and we're not following it. That's when problems arise. and it sometimes takes bravery to make those decisions. Remember the story in the Bible about Jesus? He always went around preaching the good news and the kingdom, and one day he encountered some discouraged fishermen who hadn't caught any fish all day. He asked if he could use their boat to give his sermon. He wanted a higher platform for better visibility and authority to speak to the crowd. He then taught and, after finishing, offered to help them catch fish. They replied, "We've been fishing all day, and there are no fish." But Jesus insisted because he had spiritual authority. He knew what he was saying and doing. He told them to cast their nets again, and they followed his lead. The result? They caught more fish than anyone on the planet. The boat was filled with fish. When they returned, they were humble people who had just caught enough fish to support their families for months. Now imagine if you could earn a salary that would sustain you for 6 months. Multiply your monthly income by 6. Picture that right in front of you. Then imagine Jesus telling you, "Leave all of that and come with me. I'll make you fishers of men." He was calling them to a higher purpose in life. They had the security of the fish they caught, the security of their salaries, the security of the people they were surrounded by, and the security of where they lived. But Jesus told them to leave all that behind to fulfill their calling. I left the university, leaving everything behind, and returned from Madrid to Barcelona to my parents' home, starting from scratch with no money, no clear path, but with a tremendous vision of what I would achieve. I had faith and the conviction to work hard every day to fulfill that vision, knowing that God was with me. I had faith in what the universal voice of my soul had told me about what I had to do, and I trusted that I would make things happen. I didn't wait, I became an unstoppable soul. That's having faith. Faith is the conviction and certainty of what is expected and unseen, and it translates into action. But sometimes, you have to let go of things to achieve something greater. You have to let go of mediocrity to reach greatness. Sometimes, you have to leave behind the boat and the fish, your security, to fulfill your purpose. If you liked this sign, leave it in the comments below, and let's move on to the next one. About the previous teaching I wanted to share, it's also said that you shouldn't create idols. You should admire people, but not create idols. What happens in society is that we're filled with false gods, with idols. Moses in the 10 Commandments said, "You shall have no other gods before me." Yet, we've filled society with gods. An expert, a scholar, a professor with a university degree and a PhD, says a few things, and we don't even question them. We don't question whether this person has their own interests or interests of corporations or companies they're representing, which may involve money. We don't question whether they've convinced themselves that it's good for us, even if it's not. We don't question it because they have a title. Many years ago, I was an elite athlete for 22 years. I learned something crucial. If you idolize a champion, you can never surpass them. You can never break their record. I'm not talking about wanting to surpass someone to beat them or put them down. I mean that if you want to surpass someone, you can't idolize them, because by doing so, you're placing yourself beneath them unconsciously. You'll never surpass their record, their benchmark, whether it's in sports, business, or life in general. So don't idolize anyone. That's why you shouldn't idolize. Let's move on to the next sign. By the way, before we continue, let me know on a scale of 1 to 10 how interesting you find this video and the teachings I'm sharing. Leave it in the comments below. 1 being not very interesting, and 10 being super interesting and enlightening. I love your feedback and comments to understand if you find this content engaging, and more importantly, if you find it useful to apply in your life. Tell me from 1 to 10 what you think, and let's continue with the next sign. This next sign is from Jesus in the Bible. He said, "Do not think that I have come to bring peace to the world. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. I have come to turn a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies will be the members of his own household." What this sign is warning you about is that when you want to change this programming, remember what I mentioned about needing a free, not a slave mentality to enter the promised land. This transformation happens when you renew your mind. As St. Paul said, we are transformed by the renewal of our minds. Renewing the mind means clearing out the old to make room for the new. What happens is that your mind has created everything around you. All the people you have around you are with you because they appreciate how you are, how you think, how you feel, and how you act. They appreciate everything you've achieved or haven't achieved. But when you want to change, the primary goal of the human mind is to ensure survival. To do that, it seeks protection. And for protection, it clings to what already exists and resists anything new, even if it could be good for you. Why? Because it doesn't know how your life will react to the new. It's comfortable with the familiar, even if it's holding you back. This is why when you offer business opportunities to those in poverty, they may hide, get scared, or even attack you. They don't see it as a chance to prosper because their unconscious minds are trying to protect them by rejecting opportunities that could make them wealthy. This is why when someone is sick and you suggest alternative therapies or new approaches, they might get angry, run away, reject you, criticize you, or even attack you. What you're offering is an opportunity. But people often resist healing and prosperity because they're programmed to stay as they are. Remember what Jesus said. He didn't come to bring peace to the world, but rather conflict. When you apply Jesus's principles, it disrupts the status quo because to create a new world, you must dismantle the old. Your beliefs will change, and those around you will see you differently, trying to persuade you to stay the same. They may even say you were better off before. For instance, if you used to party every weekend until 3 in the morning, indulging in drugs and pursuing short-term pleasures, and then you transform yourself through a change in your habits, embracing a healthier lifestyle, reading personal development books, waking up early to exercise, and focusing on personal growth, what do you think your friends will say or do? They may not accept this new version of you because it threatens their own choices. They feel judged by your positive changes, and it forces them to confront their own shortcomings. In a way, you become a mirror reflecting what they should be doing but aren't. They've normalized their self-destructive habits because everyone around them does the same. When one person breaks free and starts doing what's right, they are perceived as a threat to the status quo and may be attacked. As a result, Jesus warned that applying these principles would initially bring conflict rather than peace, but after the conflict, peace would follow. This means you must accept that change is inevitable and not everyone will support your transformation. Your vibration changes, and when vibrations differ too much, they separate. So understand that people, situations, things, and places may exit your life to make room for the new. To enter the promised land, you cannot maintain a slave mentality. You can't step into a new world while clinging to the old mindset. To create a new future, your past must die. We all live on planet Earth, but within it, there are countless worlds. Embrace the change, let go of the old, and you'll find yourself in a new and better world. That means renewing your mind. It's about letting go of the old to make way for the new. You see, your mind shapes your reality. The people around you are there because they appreciate you for who you are, how you think, how you feel, and how you act. They value what you've achieved or haven't achieved. But when you decide to change, your mind's primary mission is survival. It seeks protection by holding on to what's familiar and resisting the new, even if it could be beneficial. So you face a choice: the world of poverty or the world of wealth, the world of love or the world of loneliness, the world of sickness or the world of health. Once you choose the world you want to live in, you must be consistent with it. You need to transform your mind by replacing the thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and paradigms that have kept you in the old world with those that will usher you into the new one. This is how you transform your life, by changing your mindset. The universe is mental, and your thoughts manifest your reality. If you've found this message resonating with you, let me know in the comments, and we'll move on to the next point. By the way, regarding the previous message, when Jesus spoke of bringing war, not peace, It's similar to what Albert Einstein once said, "Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds." Write that down in the comments so it sinks into your subconscious, and you understand that you're not alone. Many, like you, have faced strong opposition from mediocre minds. Now let's dive into the fifth message. Please let us know in the comments if you've ever experienced strong opposition from the mediocre minds around you. The final message I'd like to share, and personally my favorite, is what Jesus said. "Broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it, but small is the gate, and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." In other words, the path Jesus walked was one of trials and tribulations, not peace. Your world is shifting, and this path is filled with challenges. Behind those challenges, blessings await. The Bible also tells us, "In the fire of your affliction, you will build your blessing." We progress through difficulties. Starting on a spiritual journey often means facing more challenges because you're dismantling your old world to build a new one. But as you overcome these challenges, you become better in every sense. That's why I believe this message is the most crucial. Many people mistakenly think that being spiritual means having no problems. However, the beginning of a spiritual journey often means more challenges because you're leaving your comfort zone. You're choosing the narrow gate and the difficult path, which is the path of faith. The easy path leads to destruction because what's easy weakens you. To illustrate, the universe operates in cycles. Easy times create unprepared and weak people. Weak people create difficult times. Difficult times make people stronger. Strong people usher in abundance. Abundant times create complacency and weakness. It's a cycle. So, don't choose the easy path in life, as it's what most people take. Choose your path because it's transformative. If you seek your purpose, not because it's easy, but because it's deeply meaningful, you'll always come out victorious. Whenever I've aimed for something in life, I've never looked for what's easiest to achieve. I've sought what inspires me the most, what would provide me with the most cherished moments and the greatest results. For example, if you want to heal from an illness, don't look for the easiest solution that might lead to side effects. Instead, seek to address the root cause. It's like planting a tree. It may take time, but it yields the most fruitful results. Don't settle for the path of least resistance. Go for your purpose because it's more transformative. With this attitude, you will always, always emerge victorious. If this message resonates with you, share your thoughts in the comments, and we'll move on to the next one. What you must change and what your body is signaling when you fall ill is to heal from the root cause. For instance, when I was 13 or 14 years old, I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. I was told I'd never swim again and was prescribed a plethora of medications. However, I refused to accept that this was my fate. Instead, I questioned what had truly made me ill. I realized that about a year and a half earlier, my family had gone through an extremely stressful and financially devastating period. The stress was so immense that my body rebelled with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. I decided to heal from the root cause, and I took massive action. I also sought doctors who supported my vision of being healthy, not those who told me it was permanent. This pattern has been consistent in my life. Whenever I wanted to start my own business or pursue my life's purpose, I never sought the easiest path. I looked for what would provide the most meaningful results and create the best moments in my life. The journey that transforms you is rarely the easiest one. So, here are two powerful phrases I'd like to share. If you do what most people won't do now, in the future, you'll be able to do what most people want to do for the rest of your life. Write that down and keep it as a visionary statement. The second one is, if you do what's easy now, you'll have a difficult life. But if you do what's difficult now, you'll have an easy life. I've always chosen the narrow gate and the difficult path because I firmly believe it's the path to blessings. Unfortunately, the masses often avoid it. Now, I'd like to know which of the 5 messages has impacted you the most and how it will help you. Please share your thoughts in the comments. I love receiving your feedback. If you don't want to miss the next videos, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Don't just take my word for it, try it for yourself. In closing, be inspired by this video. Listen to the voice of your soul and become unstoppable. If you truly want a change in your life, start today and remember, you are unique, special, and important. I care about you. Have a fantastic day and goodbye. And that concludes our journey into the fascinating world of the law of attraction. Thank you for watching. To receive a very powerful ancient technique to attract abundance, visit the link in the description of this video and don't forget to subscribe.